Here's the exchange with Mika Brzezinski and Columbia University professor Jeffrey Sachs. And remember, Mika is the daughter of former National Security Advisor under Carter, Zbigniew Brzezinski. So there's probably no biased journalism or CFR Trilateral Commission special interest crap going on here. Yeah, right. Here's the clip.
So Jeffrey Sachs, chime in. This is very different than just a war between two countries. This is as convoluted as it gets and could get out of control. I don't think people might really conceptualize, maybe even not this president, how out of control this could escalate.
It's true, but I think we have to step back and not put this in partisan terms. This is a U.S. mistake that started 7 years ago. Don't! And I remember the day on your show when President Obama said, Assad must go. And I looked at you and Joe and I said, huh? How's he going to do that? Where's the policy for that?
Don't! Right.
And we know they sent in the CIA to overthrow Assad. Don't! The CIA and Saudi Arabia. Don't! Together in covert operations tried to overthrow Assad. Don't! It was a disaster. Eventually it brought in both ISIS as a splinter group to the jihadists that went in. It also brought in Russia. So we have been digging deeper and deeper and deeper. What we should do now is get out and not continue to throw missiles, not have a confrontation with Russia. 7 years has been a disaster under Obama, continuing under Trump. This is what I would call the permanent state. This is the CIA, this is Pentagon, wanting to keep Iran and Russia out of Syria, but no way to do that. And so we have made a proxy war in Syria. It's killed 500,000 people, displaced 10 million. And I'll say, predictably so, because I predicted it 7 years ago that there was no way to do this and that it would make a complete chaos. So what I would plead to President Trump is get out.
Let me just recap what Sachs is saying here. He's saying that the US government, in the form of the CIA, secretly colluded with the Saudi regime. And remember, when we're talking about the Saudis, we're really talking about Israel. So basically, he's saying the US, the Saudis, and Israel helped to form ISIS and empower the rebels against Syria in order to overthrow the Assad regime. Also keep in mind that the reason the overlords in the US government tell us through their media mouthpiece that we're over there in Syria is to save the beautiful babies.
Even beautiful babies were cruelly murdered in this very barbaric attack. No child of God should ever suffer such horror.
If anyone believes that, you're about as gullible as they come. Yeah, we care so much about beautiful babies and innocent people that our immoral foreign policy has killed 600,000 people in that region. Sachs says 500,000, but it's really 600,000. And we've displaced millions and millions of people, all under the pretext of saving people and securing our national interest. If there's one thing you can trust the US government to do, it's lie. Jeffrey Sachs is exposing this whole deception. But the sheep don't even look up. They just keep on grazing in the pasture of comfort, ease, and ignorance. Hey honey, will you pass the Pepsi, hot dogs, and chips and see what's on TV tonight? I sure will, sweetie. I'll get right to it. I just need to finish taking all my prescription drugs. Alright, hurry up though. The Walking Dead's about to start. Sachs continues.
Like his instinct told him, by the way. That was his instinct, but then all the establishment, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Pentagon, everybody said, no, that's irresponsible. But his instinct is right. Get out. We've done enough damage, 7 years. And now we really risk a confrontation with Russia that is extraordinarily dangerous, reckless.
This guy just casually calls out the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Pentagon, who he calls the establishment, as brain-dead sources who condemn Trump for initially wanting to leave Syria. While Sachs makes the case on why we need to get out of there and stop the destruction, MSNBC has James Stavridis, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander, tell viewers, of course, that getting out of Syria would not be a good thing to do. Because, you know, if we get out of Syria and stop all the needless wars, the owners of the military-industrial complex just won't have as decadent a Christmas as they wanted. Here's the end of Stavridis' contention that we just can't back out of Syria and Sachs' response.
But if we just step away from it, as attractive as that feels to us, I don't think it's the right decision either for the country or for the international community.
I don't think it's attractive, but I think we have to understand how this happened. This happened because of us. Don't! These 600,000 are not just incidental. We started a war to overthrow a regime. Don't! It was covert. Don't! It was Timber Sycamore. People can look it up, the CIA operation.
It's still amazing to me when I hear anybody on mainstream media say things like this. If you're not familiar with Timber Sycamore, it was a classified weapons supply and training program run by the CIA and supported by various Arab intelligence services, most notably that of Saudi Arabia. Launched in 2012, it supplied money, guess where that money came from, weaponry and training to rebel forces fighting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in the Syrian war. The program has trained thousands of rebels. President Barack Obama secretly authorized the CIA to begin arming Syria's embattled rebels in 2013. But the CIA had been facilitating the flow of arms from Libya to Syria for more than a year beforehand in collaboration with the UK, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. All this, of course, is completely unconstitutional, but above all, it's immoral.
Together with Saudi Arabia, still it's shrouded in secrecy, which is part of the problem in our country. A major war effort, shrouded in secrecy, never debated by Congress, never explained to the American people, signed by President Obama, never explained. And this created chaos. And so just throwing more missiles in right now is not a response.
Look at Mika right here. She is just chomping at the bit, wanting so badly to change the topic.
My only concern...
We need to go, it's by the way, not to walk away, to go to the UN Security Council, as the Admiral says, to agree with Russia on a strategy for ending the fight. But ending the fight means that we stop trying to overthrow a government, that we stop trying to support rebels who are committed to overthrowing the government. That is where this war continues, because we, to this day, back rebels that are trying to overthrow a government contrary to international law, contrary to the UN Charter, contrary to common sense, contrary to practical path. We can't do it. And it's just creating ongoing crisis to the extent of facing an imminent confrontation with Russia.
So I think this is an important conversation to have.
Guys, what Sachs is saying right here does not fit the political agenda, it doesn't fit the agenda for the military-industrial complex, and it doesn't fit mainstream media's agenda. My guess is that you won't see Jeffrey Sachs on many more mainstream media propaganda shows. And sadly, we might read one day that he committed suicide with 2 bullets in the back of his head. I'll leave the link in the description so you can see the full interview where Mika completely changes the topic, making Trump the issue, and uses as her springboard for doing so the words of murderous Madeleine Albright. Guys, if you like what we're doing here on this demonetized, censored channel, and you want to support the effort, the Patreon, PayPal, and Bitcoin links are below. If you want to support the channel by grabbing a shirt or two, check out the new in-your-face designs like Black Rifles Matter, Escape from California, Taxation is Legalized Theft, and Sheep Pollution. I'm adding new designs every week, and I do take design requests, so check back often. Thank you guys for subscribing, watching, sharing, and especially for all your kick-ass, thoughtful comments. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored, demonetized video.